This will be the first step in the intersection design exercise for the Road2 class in SS4. Step 1 here is within the COL J5P0100 data folder. We're going to open up the terrain drawing. So we're going to go ahead and start up the terrain drawing, and usually that takes a moment to do. So once the drawing actually opens up, we are now set in the proper location for project-wise, and we can actually create now a new file that we're going to put our civil geometry in for importing our geometry. Currently we have information out in a couple of different GPKs that we need to bring in to this file so that we can go ahead and utilize them. We're going to have a ramp 2, a ramp 4, and a bighorn drive that we're going to import, and to do that we're going to have a civil geometry file. So inside this file I'm going to do just a new file. It automatically pulls up the 2D Power GEOPAK default seed, and that's what we want. So we're just going to give it the name here, J5P0100 underscore civil underscore geometry .dgn. Make sure that .dgn is placed on there. If that's not placed on there, you'll have a hard time referencing it or other things later. So we're going to copy that down to the file name, and you can give it a description here if you want to. Civil geometry file, something like that, and it should go into the correct folder since we opened up the terrain file from that folder. So we'll say OK to that. And that's going to create a brand new blank file for us. We'll check in our old terrain file, and once that's checked in, our next step is going to be to reference in that terrain and the plan drawing that's out there into this civil geometry file. Later on, that plan drawing is going to have another line in it that we're going to draw to be able to use some point controls. Okay, so the next step then is to go into the reference dialog, and we're going to attach, and oftentimes the reference dialog doesn't realize what folder we're in, so we have to go locate that, district CAD, design, and the CAD user that you're using, or the location for your project, COL J5P0100, and data, and we're going to reference in the plan and the terrain. So we're going to bring those in, and we're going to close that dialog box out and go ahead and fit the view. If you do have the chapter out in front of you, we've just done through step number 4 of this first portion for importing geometry. Step 5 there is just to go out and basically check that you don't have anything in your user preferences for COGO. So we're going to hit F4 here just to get back to the selection tool, and we're going to right click and hold on a blank area, and we're going to get the user preferences. And all we're doing here is just making sure that the working directory is cleared out, and under COGO preferences that there's nothing defined in here, because we want to make sure that we're using the correct GPK, and it's going to pull from whatever it sees in these dialog boxes. If they're empty, then it's going to go ahead and pick from wherever the location is of our current drawing file. So it's going to look in the design CAD user 16, in this case COL J5P0100 data folder for that GPK. If I look at the GPK in that folder, I see that I do have one in here, job100.gpk, so we're going to import from that particular GPK. Okay, so that gets us through step 5. Step number 6 here is to open the coordinate geometry and select the 100 GPK. We want to make sure that all of our information is in that 100 file. So we're going to go over here to the GEOPAK tools, the older SS2 and previous GEOPAK tools, and we'll pick on the COGO. And in here we're just going to hit the magnifying glass and go out and pick the job 100 GPK. And we're going to go into that, and we're going to take a look at what's in here. There's a little ship wheel navigator tool. We're going to left click on it, open it up, and then inside of here under element, right now it's looking at all the points that we have in that GPK. We want to see what chains that we have. So we're going to change that to chain. And we're going to see that we do have a bighorn here, and we have a ramp 2 and a ramp 4. And those are the things that we're going to end up bringing in. If I look at the profile, I can see that I have a bighorn EX, the existing ground. We don't necessarily need to bring that in because we have a terrain model that's automatically going to use the existing ground for bighorn. We can bring it in if we want, and it'll automatically make it the active profile, so more than likely we'll go ahead and do that. Then if we look at ramp 2, we've got a ramp 2 PR and a ramp 4 PR. So everything is in here that I need to bring this in. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of Kogo. And then we're going to import these in. Now you want to import them in one at a time, and the reason for it is you saw all those profiles that are in the GPK. If we try to go ahead and select everything and bring it in all at once, it's going to put those profiles in each one of those alignments. So if I were to bring it all in at one time and then open up ramp 2's profiles, it's going to have all the profiles brought over from that GPK. So bringing it one at a time, we can bring over just the profile that goes along with that alignment. So over under the tasks, this is the next portion of it, we're going to go to general geometry, and we're going to import those in. So the first tool in the second row is import geometry. Go ahead and select that tool. Now it wants to know where you're going to import from, so we're going to have to go to our folder. In this case it's District CAD Design. We are using CAD User 16 currently. Col J5P0100 and the data directory. Okay, now it wants to know what do you want to import from. We're going to import from this job 100 GPK that we just looked at. Pull that in and you can see all the things that you can bring in. One of the things is alignments here, so we're going to expand that out. We're going to expand out this baseline existing. We're going to expand out bighorn. Okay, there's a bunch of profiles in here. If you expand that out, we're going to go ahead and bring in the bighorn EX. So when I click on the bighorn EX, it automatically picks on the bighorn alignment. So it's going to bring in both those things together. Bringing it in from here, what that does is it goes ahead and brings in the profile and sets it active all automatically for me. Make sure that Create Civil Rules is turned on down here at the bottom, so then it'll bring it in as a MoDOT baseline existing, and I'll go ahead and place it in the file. So we'll go ahead and click on Import there, and we're going to tell it that job 100.gpk is where we want to tie this to, make that it, if we make any changes to it, it'll go back to that GPK. So we'll say OK there. And what that do is it'll bring in this bighorn EX right down through the center of our drawing. Okay, then we're going to repeat that process. So we're going to go back to Tasks, General Geometry, and Import Geometry again. And we're going to take a look at the job 100 GPK. And we're going to expand out the alignments again. We're going to uncheck alignment because we don't want to bring in anything else. So we're going to then go to MoDOT Baseline Proposed because our ramp 2 and ramp 4 are listed under there. So I'm going to bring in ramp 2. We're going to go ahead and expand out the profile for that. And we're going to pick on the ramp 2 PR. Once we pick on that, it's going to bring that profile in for that alignment, and it's going to make it active. Make sure Create Civil Rules is turned on. Click Import. And you should see ramp 2 appear in here. If you hover over that ramp 2, it's going to let you know that it's given it the name of ramp 2 and it's made the active profile the one that we selected, ramp 2 PR. Okay? So that is automatically done for you. So the next step then is to go ahead and bring in ramp 4, job 100 GPK. We're going to expand out and uncheck alignment, expand out ramp 4, profile, and then we're going to go find the ramp 4 PR, which is located right here. We'll turn that on, Create Civil Rules, Import. Once we do that, it'll bring in this ramp 4. We hover over it, we can see ramp 4 and ramp 4 PR are created. The next step in the process is we're going to zoom in to this location down here where ramp 2 and ramp 4 meet bighorn. So we're going to go ahead and zoom in so we can see what's going on in that area. One note about this particular project is that ramp 2 and ramp 4 run in opposite directions. So on ramp 2, the station at Bighorn is 16 plus 55.31, which means 0 is at the other end of ramp 2, and it runs this direction, towards Bighorn. Ramp 4 is the opposite. 0 plus 0, 0 starts here where Bighorn and ramp 4 meet and runs in the west direction. Okay, that becomes important later because we're going to create some templates, and we only have to create one template for our ramps because it's going to basically flip it over to the other side, and we can use it on both of these alignments since they run in opposite directions. Okay, so that gets us through step number 8 and the note that goes along with that, and then we're going to move on to the next thing, which is creating the corridors.